But I will tell you, okay, Lionel Baratheon would not have fallen for that Fossaway lady, okay? When Lionel Baratheon gets a woman pregnant, he knows.
It's his baby.
He knows at the moment of completion. Yep, pregnant.
And I guess I'm pretty straight laced because this is making me wildly uncomfortable right now.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Vassals of Kingsgrave for another A Night of the Seven Kingdoms edition featuring the sixth episode of the first season, The Morrow. This is a Dragoncast edition of Vassals of Kingsgrave. There will be other casts for you this week as well. So Dragoncast making a debut here at the end. I guess in anticipation of season 2 or season 3 of House of the Dragon. My name is Adam, also known as drownedsnow on the Discords and the forums, and I don't know, in your hearts. And I am joined by Casey.
Hey, this is Casey, Blue-Eyed Queen on the internet.
Kevin.
Hello, this is Kevin. I am your Nuncle Kevin.
Yes, you are. Hannah.
Hey, it's the winged shadow on the Discord.
And the Lord Baron Zander of House Targaryen.
Hail. It is I, Zander, the Lord Baron of Blackfire.
Allegedly. So let's just dive right in with a quick lemon cake rating. For this finale here, I mean, I guess the bulk of the season was, those first 5 episodes. I feel like they kind of added the most to all this going on here. Do you guys feel this was a satisfying wrap up? Like, how many green apples would you give this one, Casey?
I'm gonna say, let's do 5 apples, but each of them has a bite out of it for the horse. Because...
That's fair.
Because it was a nice episode, but, like, it wasn't the best episode of the season. But, like, I'm here for it.
Yeah. Kevin?
I don't know. Some indeterminate amount of apples. 3.4796. I don't know. I don't have strong emotions about this episode. It was a nice little goodbye to what has been a fun season. A lovely trip into Westeros that's not so uptight and not so stressful as some of the others. But this particular episode didn't have me like having giant emotional swings or anything, so whatever amount of apples I said before seems appropriate.
Fair enough. Hannah?
I feel like, Kevin, you gave your answer as like pi to 3 digits, which I think is funny. So it's apple pie.
I did not. I said 3.4 something.
No, I know. I know.
Don't ever accuse me of doing math on this podcast, please.
3.1415962. What?
It's apple pie. Okay. I'm gonna give it 5 green apples for everything that happened prior to the end title card, and then 1 big giant red wormy apple
with the stinger
for whatever I just saw right there. Really don't know how to feel about that. But yeah, I think for an episode of television, first of all, I will commend the showrunners. I like a nice wrap-up episode. I don't need it to be where a season ends off for God knows how long, especially these streaming shows, sometimes 2-3 years on a cliffhanger. Don't need it. You already got me coming back. I don't need that shit in my life. So I do like a nice like time to wrap up, and I think that they really did a good job of taking a lot of the dialogue straight from the text, and there's a lot of subtle acting choices in this one I really appreciated, and yeah, so I think I ended up liking it more than most of the other ones, although there wasn't as much to criticize. I feel like is probably partly the high score.
Okay, Xander, what do you say?
So are we doing 5 green apples? Is that what we're doing?
You know
Is
what?
it
The lemon cakes, as always, are in the eye of the beholder.
right,
So
right.
you
But
do what you like, sir.
5 is
Are
the
you
limit.
saying that you want to do red apples?
No, absolutely never would I want to do red apples.
Makes sense
I
from a
don't even
black-sided
do red
trader.
dragons. Come on.
No, Xander hates red things, famously.
All right. But no, honestly, I would give this 5 out of 5 green apples. Um I really think as the season's gone on, I've sat with it more, and I've kind of just let it take me, rather than me kind of analytic it. I don't know. Um, I don't know. It just this episode really it worked for me. I mean, there's definitely some points of it that don't work, but that doesn't outweigh my enjoyment of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm with you there, Xander. I mean, I'm gonna give this 4 green apples and 1 red wormy apple. So not perfect. Mostly because like I didn't really like that stinger, and like there wasn't as much going on in this episode, but they did a good job of wrapping things up, I felt. And there was some funny shit in here that I really liked. um, Sir Arlen actually like said more than like 2 words, and we'll get to that. But yeah, I mean, I thought I thought they didn't like do anything to fuck up, you know, the season we just watched, and I really, I enjoyed these characters, and it was, appropriately sad and funny, and I just didn't like the change at the end there. If it is change, I don't I don't think that's the best way to set this story up, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. All right, let's jump right in. So we're just gonna kind of run through a few scenes at a time here. So let's see. We the opens right up with Lionel Barras is just a wild dude. He's just a wild dude, and he's hanging out with Dunk, and they've got like the milk of the poppy and some drinks, and I don't know. Looks like they're smoking something. Like all the while, his maester is saying like, "Oh, this dude's dying." Also, like, you better come with me and be my bro, like for sure. Because like, fuck Baylor, I fought for you, and if you don't, like, you're like, we're gonna be such bros. But if you don't, like, I'll hate you forever, you piece of shit. Uh, which was like, I don't know. He clearly likes Dunk, and yeah, I mean, he does seem like that sort of guy that's like real extreme. Like, all right, we're hanging out, we're best friends, or fuck you. I do think that this character was played very well this season. Was a lot of fun. But what do you guys think about this? Also, like, Maesters suck. Dunk took a lot of fucking wounds and is somehow still alive. Um, like, where's this
I
going? Also, is Lionel like bi or gay or hashtag Greg
Definitely.
apparently says no.
Well, hashtag Greg doesn't know what he's talking about. And I'll
You're
fight him.
wrong.
Yeah, that man wants to do terrible things to Dunk.
Or they could just be like frat bros, dude. You never know.
I get what you're saying. I think the big thing was like that party in the tent where there's like a moment that
Oh yeah.
it seems like Lionel kind of realizes that Dunk doesn't swing that way, and Lionel's like, "Well, I'm going to bed."
Yeah.
And then he's kind of taking his shot a couple days later after a lot of things have gone down. Maybe they've
In hashtag Greg's defense, he did not think that Renly was gay until I think much later.
That is right. That is right.
I think that was probably on one of these a very long time
ago.
I
mean, I didn't realize Renly at first in the book. I didn't realize Renly at first either. So,
Casey, when we tacitly congratulated you on your engagement, we did not agree to you just defending him for the rest of your lives. That shit's gotta stop.
I don't know. It's pretty weak.
I think I played devil's advocate pretty
I'm
well.
just kidding.
The only question I have is because I feel like he definitely did play that kind of like everyone's like he's got that slutty fucking earring. Like I think he did play that like kind of like queer as fuck. But the people running this show with like the bro jokes and the potty humor and stuff, like are they wanting it to be like gay Baratheon or were they just thinking like, oh, he's gonna be a fun bro? Like I don't know.
Is a thing.
Yeah.
But see, in all seriousness, you tell him if he wants to defend himself, he has to get on the podcast. For fuck's sake.
Lionel Baratheon comes off like like one of those guys that's just like, oh, I don't see people, like I just you know what I'm saying. Anything that walks into the room, if it's sexy, I'm down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. I imagine he's been in a battle or two where he's like, the camp followers are gross. So, Hedge Knight, come hither.
Yeah, maybe it's like a Greek kind of
situation. Take heed.
Yeah, I think so. Can we talk about the fact this is really bothering me. What is this jazz? This like it's WKRO Westeros playing all the hits. Like,
they end the show with like I'm a slave to the company store or whatever, right? Like the music choices are definitely different in the show.
I don't get this. Like it has like source music. It's weird to me.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to pull like a weird Peaky Blinders at the 11th hour, and I don't care for it. I don't think.
I think it's all right.
But they've been doing it all season. Like they've been playing country guitar licks. Like
to me, it seemed like they were doing more. It's like a minstrel, but a stylized minstrel. This was like that's a modern trumpet, not the shit that they have in their real world.
Remember the really dramatic opera music when Egg reveals himself? Like, I don't know.
They opened the show with they had whatever the first scene was, and then they slowly add the Game of Thrones intro music. And then we cut to scene with Dunk shitting himself behind the tree, not really covering it, but anything at all.
Yeah,
and it really just sounds like they're like trying to I think these writers are really trying to be like, you think this is Game of Thrones, but it's not really Game of Thrones.
It's Game of Thrones, bro.
But I think that with the jazz, with that intro, with a couple of the other things they've done at the Night of the Nine Kingdoms thing at the end of this, I think that that's kind of all a bit of a play on this isn't what you think it might be.
I love that.
Yeah. I don't think it would have felt tonally off from the show if before the Trial of the Seven they had played "We Will Rock You." Like, they've been going for that Knight's Tale. Like, we'll play whatever music we want, energy the whole time.
Maybe that's what's bothering me about it is because they did choose to play that theme, and I don't know. It's like, when are you being serious? When are you not? I'm getting whiplash.
I don't know. It's working for me. I think they've done it right mostly. There are a few bits that I don't like. Even like I said, I think I mentioned this earlier. Like the main one is like the farting during Dunk's speech. I didn't like, but on the rewatch, I was like, I knew it's coming. I was kind of like, but it wasn't that bad. Most of like looking at it back because I rewatched the whole season, the 5 episodes before this afternoon, and like none of them were really that bad. Like most of them like were decently timed. Um, yeah, I mean, like I sort of get the tone they're going for, and like I'm kind of here for it. Like,
Venus swayed you. Venus swayed you into the fart jokes.
I mean, I'm not like I don't hate the fart jokes. Um, I just do feel like in the middle of his speech was kind of like a shitty place to put that. And I even
But
said like the first episode, like where like he's shitting under the tree, everyone was fixated on that, but I'm like they did it right over the Game of Thrones theme to kind of show us like, hey, we're not using that. Like I was just glad they weren't reusing the theme. Um, you know, so like it was
They-
used for something. It sent a message, but I didn't need to physically see the shit flying out. And then like
I
Sir Arlen's dong, which my wife was actually with me when I was rewatching today, and she was like, "That's a huge dick." I was like, "Oh right."
I wonder if some of them are like meta references, like to David and Dan. Like first they shit on you, and then they show you their big dick in your face. D&D.
I
I
don't
don't
think D&D
know.
have a big dick.
No, I'm saying
They think they
I don't,
do.
I don't think
no,
they
like
have 10
Ira
inches between
Parker,
them.
And George are saying like we've
Well,
got the big dick.
I try not to comment on other people's penis sizes, but I don't know the guys that are doing this show if they are that deep about it, or I don't know. I don't think so.
I think
Um,
exceptions can be made for D&D. I don't think they're good people.
I don't think they're. Well, I don't. I don't know what kind of people they are. I think they were bad showrunners.
Adam, you're
After
talking
after a
like they're
bit.
listening to our podcast right now.
No, well, I'm just trying to think. Like, I don't know actually anything about them like privately.
I
um,
think they're
No, I.
shysters. Like I think
I
they
do.
were people
Yes.
that sold a bill of goods to George and
Yeah, they said,
could not
look, they said,
deliver it.
look, we wrote X-Men Origins Wolverine. We'd really love to make this show for you.
They're flim flam men.
I think that the source material that George gave them for the first season, as tight as that was kind of hard to fuck up, right? If you stay faithful to it. And that's sort of what we're seeing with this show, right? They stayed very faithful to uh, the Head Knight novella, um, with some exceptions. But like they just cribbed right from the page, and it works really, really well, and they
I
did make it
mean,
look faithful, and they had the graphic novels too, even to take inspiration from, right? So, um, are they good? I don't know, but the show is, at least so
Yeah,
far,
I I agree with that.
and that may be what D&D were. I don't know. I think D&D, they drank their own Kool-Aid, and they thought their shit didn't stink, and like a lot of modern showrunners, they want to put their take on it and their name on it and make sure it's their story, and that's when things often get fucked up. So, but anyway, we've
Indeed.
we've litigated that plenty in the past. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
anything else about
Um,
Slutty Baratheon?
I do like
I wish.
uh, sorry, I was just gonna say I do like how it opens up with the mirror image of Sir Arlen like dying against the tree and Dunk kind of being in the exact mirrored position. And then the maester comes in. It's like he's dying, you know.
What is
Uh,
it? What is it? Lionel said like something like you couldn't like cure an itch
you
or
can
something,
create
or
an itchy asshole,
yeah.
which I did chuckle at pretty hard.
I mean, again, like that's definitely like frat humor, but like that's fucking hilarious. I love he's like, fuck these maesters. Look, you got to come with me, man. You're my man now. I do actually really appreciate because this isn't in the book, with Lionel, right? But I do really appreciate that they took the time, they developed this guy, they made a fun character, they developed the relationship between these two, and now Lionel is reaching out to him, saying like, "Hey, I want you. Like, I want you on my team." It's right. Um, I did appreciate that they didn't just like Lionel's like, "Well, fuck off, I'm back to Storm's End." They actually like said like no, like the connection mattered, like it meant something.
They're
Like,
also really sowing these seeds of rebellion pretty hard in this scene and throughout the whole show. It's like they're kind of prepping for the maybe doing a Robert's Rebellion show in the future.
Well,
Lionel
even
also has his own rebellion later too.
Oh,
true.
shocking lack of knowledge.
But it's more of just like a bid for attention. It's not like Robert trying to take over.
that's so Lionel.
He's just bored.
Yeah. Just a bored bisexual boy.
I really want to see what Storm's End is like under him, because like the only vision we've gotten of Storm's End was kind of shitty, you know, drab and no
Honestly,
He
fun.
must have a
Yeah.
really good Castellan.
I kind of wish they would do like little bonus episodes that's just that actor kind of like wandering around the camp, like just little 5-minute, like, you know, fuck your podcast, do something like that, because that actor is.
If
I
you
could
want to see
watch him.
Daniel Ing being that character, just go watch anything else he's ever in.
That's what I mean. It's like I could watch him just fucking about all day long. He's really charismatic.
He was
Yeah,
born
give
to play
us
a
give us a
Baratheon.
web episode of like what Lionel was doing in between the episodes. Like
Yeah.
show him
played-
going and making a breakfast sandwich and like you know, just like saying
Seducing
weird
Steely
shit to
Tate.
people.
So the
Like, what
things
is it?
the things I know that actor from are he plays Prince Philip's like even wilder in The Crown. He's on a show that was initially called Scrotal Recall, and became called Love, and he was the person who had the most sex on
Forgot
that
about
show.
that.
Yeah, and then he's he's on that show with where he's a royal or a noble and he gets disinherited because he's too much of a wild child.
Oh yeah.
Like he was born to play a Baratheon. Like, and this
Yeah.
Baratheon, the most Baratheon that ever Baratheoned. Like,
He's like, look, the ambiguous winking party dude is just my vibe.
Be cool to have like a fan supercut of like side by side Lionel versus Stannis.
yeah, he's
Poor
like, what
Stannis
the
could
fuck? I
never.
got it, great grandson.
Wait.
All right, let's go on to the next the next set of scenes here. After all that, and you know, Lionel talking shit about the Targaryens, which Dunk obviously wasn't into, and he sort of has a point, but I don't know. That kind of felt like out of left field a little bit for Lionel, but sort of makes sense with what happens later. They burn Baelor on a funeral pyre, like right there, which I guess feels kind of odd. But I mean, Targaryens burn. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just like, it's weird they just did it right there, not like
Yeah,
took him
I thought that was weird
somewhere else.
too.
And then Dunk
They probably
apologizes.
didn't want to pay for another set, like a big set piece.
Yeah, I think they wanted to have that happen now, because then it's like it forces Dunk to come back into contact with everyone and sort of like own up a little bit, and then he's apologizing to Valar, who is not really happy and is like, why the fuck did the Baelor and leave you? And there's just a whole series of
that whole thing's like that's how it happens in the book. The burning all happens there.
Yeah.
It happens there.
But the Targaryens used to like they used to have the fire funerals because like the dragons would just like incinerate them, right? And so I guess you could just do it wherever, you don't care. But it seems, I don't know, it feels like maybe they would have gone somewhere else with it. But I guess like they just do the funerals right there.
And that's when the conversation with Valar takes place. It's not after he's his pirates before.
I thought it was after, but it's like all about the same time. Either way. And then
they say
then he goes
was
and yeah. But anyway, then he runs into Raymond Fossaway, who has had his tent taken away from him, which is kind of hilarious. It's like petty as fuck. But then we get the green apple, and he says, "Better an unripe green apple than a wormy red one." And then one thing leads to another, and he's gotten the prostitute pregnant
I'm
in one
obsessed.
night, and she thinks it's a boy.
I'm obsessed.
I wrote like this like truly cements Raymond Fossaway as like the Cletus of Westeros. Like he's like,
Dead
yeah,
ass.
well, yep, she's got my heir in there. That's going to be the first green apple. Like,
Doesn't
dude,
fall far from the tree. Oh my god.
He's cousin Eddie.
Raymond's kind of yes, he is. Raymond's kind of one of my favorite characters in this story. What they did with this season, it was just great. And he gets knighted and he gets his moment, and he's a good guy and he's a good friend. But like you look back, like when Dunk gets basically arrested, and then he comes back to his horses, and like Raymond's just sort of skulking out of nowhere behind the tree. He's like, "What's up?" And he's like, "Were you watching my horses?" He's like, "You hungry?" It's like he doesn't even answer the question. Like it's just all of this sort of like there were clues. There were clues. He's all about the cider. I mean, like the moonshine, the cider. I expected to see him just like with like a piece of grass in his teeth. He's
It's
super
Raymond,
excited when
our yokel.
he's super excited about Sweetfoot. Anyway, so what did you guys
You know
think
what
about this? The funeral and
I love
about
about how they've done Raymond is like I go back and forth between like he's a badass to like yeah he's a sweet little idiot because he's got all those battle scars and he like winks at Dunk and I'm like hot love it and then he's like she's pregnant with my child.
well, this is also a world where like they don't explain this stuff very well. A lot of them don't probably know it.
Oh my
It's
god, they did.
it's
Yeah,
hilarious though.
everything they've done with him is so genius. I love how like sometimes he's this really like brave, pure spirit, and then sometimes it's just this ridiculous
Well,
boy.
someone said like, "Oh my gosh, somehow she got pregnant." I'm like, no, no, no. I bet she definitely is pregnant. Like,
The look, the look that Dunk gives him of like, oh, you
it just
poor
she
little
just ain't
summer
pregnant by him. I
child.
mean, and this is
Oh,
this is like an absolute legend. Like Roz from Game of Thrones could never. Like she sees her opportunity, and in one night, like is like engaged and like pushing this baby that she's already got in her belly on this little lordling. I'm like, damn girl, like
she looks like the exact same actress too.
the red hair and kind of like the same clothing. Yeah,
And
very
then her
similar.
name was Rowan. I was like, what?
Yeah.
It threw me for a second. I was like, no, that's
Is it
Rohan Weber.
is it canon that that's her mom somehow, or like great aunt,
No, I don't think so.
or great great grand madam?
Are you talking about Ross? No, I was talking about Rohan Weber. I was like, redhead, Rowan, and I was like, Rowan, not Rohan.
Oh, I had to look at that too. I was like, wait, they are not trying to say that. Yeah, I did. I had to stop and double
No, I
check
don't
that.
think there's no canon around Ross. That's just a creation of D&D. Yeah. I loved the bro hug between the two of them a lot. Like that felt very sincere to how two men of that age, after all they've been through and their recent trauma they've shared, they would and also not know how to end it, and then awkwardly separate.
Yeah,
Oh
and
yeah.
this is another developed relationship paying off. This is something like, oh hey, this is like a friend for life sort of situation, right? um it works out well. But yeah, it was like the camaraderie, of these young men and everything they just fought, and then, like after watching the gold medal hockey game this morning with like the way Team USA was celebrating, and I'm like, all these young dudes, and I was like, yeah, it kind of connected a little bit.
They were all
Brotherhood,
like
brotherhood, brotherhood. Sorry. That was
No,
the interview after the game. Brotherhood, brotherhood, brotherhood.
That's right.
I noticed, and this was like around the time where I noticed that like everybody's walking around like they have something weird up their butts and can't move a single muscle without all the pain of the tourney. Like, then I'm like, oh, they're all gonna just waddle this whole episode.
Oh yeah, everybody's like, yeah, everybody broke their back or their leg or something.
I mean, like,
For
I kind of
sure.
like that it was showing that
Yeah.
they all had injuries, you know, even if
Yeah, I
they were
agree.
like ridiculous because they're all limping. You're right.
What did you think that Baylor said, or that Lionel said Baylor risked nothing? I thought that was interesting. I mean, because he died.
And he says after that of like the gods don't side with fools. So he's saying it wasn't a risk. When he took your side, he knew that you were
Well, he was saying
like going to
no.
win.
Because he was saying that, like, well, he was going to fight the Kingsguard, which are sworn to not hurt him. So like he was he wasn't risking anything in joining you. Like, but I mean, obviously it's not true. And then he died. So um,
So I honestly think it is like how a lot of the characters in this season have been ramping this up. There is such a scar on Westeros from the Civil War with the Blackfires that like there's so much more underneath for all of the lords and the lordlings and the small folk about the Targaryen dynasty, really than there ever has been ever. And I think it's just another moment to give the audience a point to see a character explode and show the frustration they have, if that makes sense.
yeah, I think they did a good job of showing the cracks in the royalty that, like, we know Robert's Rebellion is not that far away from this point. I mean, it's, a decent bit away, but, and then we know about, obviously, the Dance of the Dragons. People have been watching House of the Dragon. So, like, initially reading Game of Thrones, it feels like this huge seismic shift that, the Dragon Lords were deposed, and, like, how does that happen? Like, just because, like, everyone was so happy to support Robert, but like because there were still a lot of people loyal to the Targaryens that we run into in Game of Thrones, right? They talk about the Whispers and the lords that kind of would be happy to see them back. But
All them
here it shows like,
tapestries at Castle Dairy.
uh-huh, that's right. So here it shows like actually like the small folk and the lords and like respect has been waning for them amongst the hillbillies like Raymond Fossaway and the high lords like Lionel Baratheon.
So then maybe what he meant is like he risked nothing because his reputation's not on the line.
So I think what he was getting at was that Baylor could have ended all this with a word, and that his whole like pious, careful, like caring prince act was a ruse. To me, Lionel Baratheon's interesting in this story mostly because I think you can't really separate him from what happened with Rhaenys, the Queen Who Never Was, a century earlier, or Robert a century later, right? Like he's in the middle of this period where the Baratheons are no longer the like most loyal vassals to the Targaryens, and they're trying to figure out, do we take control from them? Are we still a part of them? They're definitely not as close as they were in the early days when the Targaryens power. But I think there's probably some semblance of feeling like they could get back there, but then you see where maybe Lionel Baratheon speaking from a place
they
of
don't
hurt
want
and
that.
bitter. Yeah, a place of like hurt and bitterness about the Targaryens. Like we used to be y'all's ride or dies, and we're not anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of all coming to play in that comment.
They were originally like so close to the throne.
Yeah, yeah,
Even up until the Dance of the Dragons, they were usually pretty close to the throne, right?
yeah. And then a lot of the separation started to happen when Rhaenys wasn't crowned, because she was half Targaryen,
To me, it sounded like just a
half
whole lot
Baratheon.
of privilege. Like, you know, they're like they're the top of everything. Like, they kind of walk on water. Like, this is all part of the game for him, type deal. Just from like a show perspective, I think.
I also have to call a
Right.
little
Well,
bullshit
especially
on
being in Baratheon, the second. Sorry,
No,
being
you're
in
good.
Baratheon, being the like secondary Targaryen family, essentially, but being kind of pushed off to the side all these years.
Well, but that's just it. Who amongst the accusers, other than maybe asshole Fossaway, would really have harmed Lionel? You know what I'm saying? Like no one's going for the kill on him.
Oh, I mean, think I don't think any of the Targaryens would have thought twice about it. I don't think the Kingsguard. I mean, their job is to protect the royal family.
Right.
I think in a
If he's
yeah,
endangering them, absolutely. But I mean, I just don't think anyone was like, we got to kill this Baratheon guy.
yeah.
The Targaryens, like, they didn't care.
I
Maekar
mean,
cared about his son.
to
Like,
Lionel's point, like Maekar actually has no authority to command the Kingsguard. Like, like that is reality. Like Baelor can command them as the hand of the king and the heir to the throne. Maekar doesn't actually have the authority to command them in comparison. And
well,
if
don't they also serve the royal family essentially? I mean, like, obviously, there's a hierarchy of what order to follow. But like, if they're traveling with like a lesser member of the royal family, like that person, they have to do whatever they say. So,
right,
without a countermanding order.
But Baelor outranks Maekar, right? He's the hand and he's the heir to the throne. So if Baelor just
Right.
told them that they weren't fighting because he's on the other side, he could have done that.
Or
So I think
he
there
could
is
have
some
said,
truth.
no, you guys stay out of it, period, even
Yeah,
before this, and would
yeah.
have basically put an end to this. But I think because someone mentioned that on the YouTube, I think that they commented on one of the episodes that, like, no one's mentioned that, like, yeah, as the hand of the king and the heir to the throne, like, he basically could just squash this, but he doesn't because of, I mean, he appearances or his love for his brother, like wanting to see Arian put in his place, like in like a just, public way. Like, does he want this? Does he maybe want the people to see a bad Targaryen being put down? Like, why doesn't he just say, actually, like, this is the end of it? When he
Well,
could.
I think he has to respect the laws that have been in Westeros for a long time, right? Like, so he's walking the balance of, I'm a Targaryen who doesn't have dragons, so I have to recognize like the laws that have existed for thousands of years as well. I'm not my great grandpa Jaehaerys riding around on Vermithor, like where I can just kind of assert my will a little more and apply Andal law where it fits me and enough to appease people.
Yeah.
Like I have to actually look at how these things would be handled. I have to let these knights like resolve this and not let this linger. I can't just squash this because then I'm creating resentment and more problems.
Yeah, they have to learn how to really rule.
Yeah, I think it was. And again, I think this trial was valuable. I think um, his initial conversation with Dunk, obviously, I think he sees who's in the right when he says, I might have done the same thing if I showed up, I might have, slapped him down myself. And then his whole point of conversation is like, how good of a knight are you? Because he's like, hey, why don't you one on one and put him in his place, basically. The whole trial of the seven thing is definitely not something he expected to come up. So I think he saw value in maybe a public dressing down of Arian, who is not viewed very favorably, amongst the people.
Also, I'd like to clarify that Jaehaerys is his both fourth great and fifth great grandpa, thanks to Damon and Rhaenyra marrying.
It gets so complicated.
Sexy.
Oh man.
That's a stupid question. I think this is gonna be a stupid question, but I literally never thought about it while watching the show, and I don't ever recall thinking about it when I was reading the books. Why the fuck are there 3 members of the Kingsguard with them on the road in Ashford? And who the hell is
Because
guarding the
well, there's 4 other Kingsguard, right? So, and the Kings
isn't
in
there
King's Landing.
like 7?
Well, I'm
Yeah,
saying
but I
is
mean,
they're fairly well protected in the Red Keep. Like you have, like what 4 or 5 members of the royal family going out for this. So it makes
yeah, I mean,
sense to send a few Kingsguard.
you have the heir, you have the heir's heir, and then you have 4 other
But don't
members of
they
the royal family.
like household guards? Just like, isn't it a rare exception when a Kingsguard's sent away from where the actual king or queen is?
I mean, it doesn't seem to be from from Game of Thrones because like Kingsguard be sent all over the place. I could be wrong, but like I mean, we even saw House of the Dragon like them being used in weird ways. Um, but it
Well,
seems
I guess
like they protect the royal family. That's why you got 7 of them. So like you send someone with the princess or whatever while she's on a trip, and now I feel safe because they've got this bodyguard in addition to whatever other knights
see,
who.
I was in the main series. It's because there's like 5 kings at one time, like for the bulk of the main series. Like,
But even like the King's Landing Kingsguard in Game of Thrones gets sent like often get sent out doing other stuff, and I mean like one of them goes with Marcella. Um, And I mean, like Jamie's out, fighting, right? And there's a lot of stuff going on. Like Jamie's a general.
I want to put on my Calwadegi voice for a second because I feel like he could.
please do.
So, like, I think one thing that you kind of notice as a trend with the Kingsguard is they go from being more bodyguards in the beginning to being more generals by the end. So,
Hmm.
and at this point in the dynasty, what we're seeing with like King Daeron the Good, he is not leading a battle himself, so he is more likely to send his Kingsguard out, and that
Ah.
you know, so I think that's kind of a trend that they're starting to become more the 7 like generals of the kingdom and not the 7 bodyguards as much
There's
as we
someone
get.
you can trust implicitly
Yeah,
as the royal family. Like there's been very few like traitorous Kingsguard, and they don't have lands or titles, or they're not going to like switch allegiance in mid battle or something, right? Because they're going to get something out of it. So you're right. There is a big value in using them in like command positions for you.
yeah, and
That makes
you
sense.
think about the kings like Daeron and moving forward. You have Daeron, Aerys, um, Maekar, Egg, Jaehaerys, Aerys. Like you only have 2 out of that like last 6 that actually could have led troops into battle themselves in Egg and Maekar. The rest of them are not that type of king. So
I remember
you're
what happened to Valar.
he died of the spring sickness.
Was it the spring
Yeah.
sickness for him too? Yeah.
Him and Sweet Mataris.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I don't know why
Speaking
I don't know why he got
of,
called Sweet.
to wind it back to this episode, because I'll probably want to say it like a handful of times this episode. I really love the scene with Duncan Villar because it's so apparent when you give these actors George's dialogue verbatim. It turns into a modern Shakespeare, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you can actually tell like what what are the lines from the book verse or novella versus whatever the show has come up with.
That's an odd thing to say. Yeah, so
No, it's
some
a
of
good
the other
point,
writing
Ryder.
does stand out. Um,
And
um,
it seems like they connect with it deeper too. Like their performances are bolstered by it.
Yeah, and it does seem like they're trying to be very faithful to these stories because they're good stories. And I mean, they were trying to be faithful in season 1 of Game of Thrones too, right? Um, Not a little less so, I think, than in this. But um, speaking of faithful, um, Makar summons Dunk, um, and he is clearly a very sad brother and father, and trying to figure out what to do. What the right thing to do is by his kids, and I mean for the realm as well. But he mentions he's going to send Arion away to the free cities. And they kind of both lament how they're both going to be blamed anytime Baylor's name comes up. They're going to blame the Hedge Knight. They're going to blame the brother that got him one step closer to the throne, basically, right? Um, but he kind of like begrudgingly offers to have him join the Targaryen family at Summerhall, make sure that he gets trained well while he takes on Egg as a squire, because you know Egg needs to be a squire, and he said he'll take no one else but Dunk. And Dunk is just sort of over it, and he's still in his feelings and not ready to not ready to get involved with these people on that level. Too much of a commitment. So then Egg overhears and is just disappointed. He says, maybe you're not the knight I thought you were. Um, and then that's when we finally get a little something from Sir Arlen, where he's actually talking. And I kind of hoped that this would go a little longer, or be more to it. It almost seems like a fever dream, this scene. Or was this just they're showing us how Sir Arlen actually died, or a little bit of both?
Okay, wait. So before we go too far, the whole Egg being like, "You're not the knight I thought you were." Immediately, my reaction was like, "He's got that Catholic guilt down. That's the religion he's practicing."
I mean, Egg is no dummy, and he's a little manipulative, and like he's a smart kid.
Uh, Damn.
Yeah, and he dresses like a fucking Catholic priest in his Targaryen, fucking robes and shit. So
They
I don't
Yeah.
know.
brought so many clothes for that kid, for that attorney. They brought- He's in like a
Maybe
different.
it's the contrast, like how Sworn Sword opens up with he's ass naked.
Yeah, all of that. That's funny. All of the
Oh,
clothes were clearly not with Daron, right?
yeah. I mean, is he naked at the beginning of that too? Because he's naked at the
Uh,
beginning of Hedge Knight.
maybe it's this. Maybe it is Hedge Knight I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
They were shying away from that.
Someone get this kid some clothes.
So give him a wardrobe.
Yeah. Look, they're gonna show us like prosthetic dongs and dunk shitting and tits everywhere, but like we don't need to see like 10-year-old kids running around.
That's
Like
true.
we're
Although
okay.
his costume, that's where the battle budget went. Like he's into his costumes.
I mean, his costume's like he got the fit, the Targaryen fit for sure.
Egg got that drip.
That's right.
I love the hat.
His Samuel
Yeah.
L. Jackson hat.
Yeah, it
The
makes
Oh
little
yeah,
me
pink
that
voice
Black
angle.
Panther fit.
yeah, like it makes me giggle, but it's also like so cute.
It is. He looks like a little gentleman. I did like that.
Yes.
We'll
But
talk
like
about this in a
they
couple
didn't
scenes too,
know
but his hair's starting to grow back.
they
So
didn't know he was gonna shave his head. So like, why would you have that for a
I
10-year-old
know.
kid? Like Darren shaved his head right before this. They didn't know that was happening.
This happens with every 10-year-old boy Targaryen. Get out the hat.
They
it's
all have
also
the Britney
hilarious.
Spears face.
It's hilarious that the whole idea of him shaving his head, like he says, like I cut it because I didn't want to look like you, brother, which is badass. But it's like, oh no, well Darren cut it to try to hide me, and I'm like, he could have just told you to stay in your room at the inn. Like you think if they come to the inn to look for you, they're gonna see Darren. Like I don't know why shaving his head was gonna help, but they just had to hide for a couple of days.
I mean, he was
Um,
drunk and in alcohol withdrawals, so he was just doing shit.
Yeah, you're probably right.
that's true. Um, I really did, of all the sort of weird humor in this show, the Sir Arlen fake out death was fire. I
Oh,
just
dude, he ends with like a
Oh,
dad
it
joke.
got me. Yeah.
He's like, and
Yeah,
a knight
right. It
always
was a
finishes his
dad joke.
story.
first I was pissed because I was like, I really don't like them answering the question for us about whether he ever knighted Dunk or not. So I was like pissed at first, and then he's like, "Oh, by the way," I was like, "Okay, great," because like we don't actually know still if
But
there was more to that
right, like
conversation.
I can't tell if that was like partially him like remembering how he died and partially a fever dream, because he says, "Why did you never knight me?" or whatever, and I'm like, I don't think he would have said that to a dying man, because then he'd be like, "Oh, I'll just knight you right here." Like I was like, yeah, it seemed like this was like a
Either
conflation of
way,
several things. Um,
I love it. He's like, "I'm not dead yet."
that's right. And but again, he did give us a little flash of like, he's like, "Oh yeah, you told me that story," and like you see a little bit like that he can be a coherent man who's not just like a drunken like sword swinging like weirdo. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm like, at least that's there.
Yeah, I'm
Something.
still of the more to come with Sir Harlan. I think when we learn more about the Blackfire bastards of Zander and such, that we're going to see more about the Redgrass Field and Arlen's nephew dying and such.
I really hope that I know the budget is not there, but I hope that they do give us, like the graphic novel opens up, I think the Sworn Sword, like showing like some of the battle scenes and Blood Raven, and like I really hope that they like give us something to kind of show the scale of like what happened, and like show us Damon Blackfire or something. Like I know that might be too expensive, maybe I'm hoping for too much, but I think that would be a fun way to open the next season, with how the Sworn Sword goes, and then how the Mystery Knight develops. Like it's kind of important to like kind of hammer home the Blackfires a little more.
If Aegon the Unworthy is on my screen, I am going to scream. Like, that's going to be amazing.
Who would they cast? I don't know. Um,
Yeah, do you say that about like getting more of Sir Arlen in context of like with his nephew, and like is that maybe why he did choose to never knight Dunk? Is that kind of what you're thinking?
well, just more
So,
flashbacks, maybe.
so I think that there's going to be more Redgrass Field in this next one. Um, and the way the show portrayed it was that the Redgrass Field is essentially right outside of King's Landing, and that it had just happened in when Sir Arlen finds Dunk. And so Sir Arlen is very fresh in mourning. He's just lost his nephew. Um,
Right.
and so all those pieces are there from what you see in the season, which sets up a little more of the idea that Sir Arlen was truly in mourning and came upon Dunk and saved him, and maybe wasn't ready to fill that knight squire role at that time. So I think there's a lot to play with moving forward and showing more of that interaction. You can show things that are not in the books, but show that relationship getting stronger. Show him, I think you could show him like drunkenly crying and saying his nephew's name and accidentally calling his Dunk his nephew's name, those sorts of things in the next season.
Hmm.
And it all plays well into everything that happened on the Redgrass Field and just the damage of that civil war because bastards like Zander rose up and could not respect the rightful King Daron.
Oh
No,
boy.
okay, so
The
I mean, I know
slander.
I knew all that about well the first part of what you said, but I meant were you saying that you thought the show was going to answer whether or not he did knight Dunk as being he didn't want to do it because he didn't want Dunk to end up like his nephew?
Oh, I just think that he didn't knight Dunk. and that's why Dunk didn't know the words for Raymond Bosway. And
I mean, I think that
yeah,
he
I
just
just
didn't
think
get around to it. Like,
yeah.
it's like there's still time, sort of thing. I mean, because what does he say? Like, oh, you didn't knight me. Like, did you think I was leave? I would leave. I wouldn't have left you. Like, because he's kind of an old man that still needs the help. But Dunk's not that old yet. I mean, I guess by Westeros standards, being like in your late teens is like a man grown. But I don't know. Like,
But they make a big
Well,
deal when people are knighted at like 16 and 17 years old. Like Dunk's in that age bracket.
right,
Like that's early
right.
to be knighted.
it is early to be knighted, and like I think that, and this is just my opinion, and if we're using the source material and what Dunk tells us in the show, at least, I don't think that it's a case of Sir Arlen not wanting to knight him, but also, like, if you're going to knight someone, like, look at the show. Like, he's not just going to be like, all right, I'm going to knight you now. Like, you want to do it with some sort of circumstance, with an audience, with, like, you want to make it, like, public, and, you want people to know,
Well,
like, here's the new knight. Like,
Well, see, I always read it in the book says like he did do it on his deathbed.
I
I think
think
the question for me is like, did he get it all the way out before he
I
died?
think I think that's the big difference, though. The show and the books are presenting two very different narratives of whether he was knighted or not. Because the books, obviously, of how George R. R. Martin writes, he leaves it very ambiguous and kind of leaves it up to the reader, like you're saying, Hannah. Like, you think he did it right before he died,
Just
where
because
other
Dunk's
readers
so
can,
noble, I don't see him
think he
lying like
never
a
did
big
it.
lie.
Whereas the show is almost deliberately pushing that he wasn't knighted, that at some points I almost feel like the show's going to be like, oh, but like Psyche actually did knight him, you know.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
can see that
it's
too.
two very different narratives of the question of his knighthood.
Yeah. I do think that it's not so much of an open question in the books, which I'd kind of forgotten about that when this season started. And so people reminded me of a couple things. I think that the general direction of Dunk and Egg is working towards a moment where Dunk is expected to knight Egg. And I think that is when this comes to a head. Just from
yeah,
a
I like that
narrative
idea.
standpoint. Like, I just think that's got to be something that eventually happens, and there has to eventually be not a confrontation, but this has to be something that Dunk and Egg deal with together.
Yeah,
Um,
like he wouldn't keep any secrets, I think, from Egg. Especially if, like, it's getting like closer to Egg being in line for the throne or something like that. And we know how long they're together and he becomes, Kingsguard and all that. So, I mean, I do think there is a lot of evidence in the books to say that he didn't, but there's plenty that, like, it's not I don't know. We also trust this guy. We see his character. We don't want to believe that. You could easily just say, "Oh yeah, he did knight him." I think the point of the Hedge Knight books, at least in my opinion, is that it doesn't matter if he was
Yeah,
knighted or not. It might come up and it might be a point, but what matters is what Dunk does and how he
but he
acts and,
is
like, that
the
he's
true
holding to
knight.
these vows.
Yeah,
and George loves the most true knights are not knights. That's he lives for
yeah.
that shit. Like, he goes to bed. He goes to bed obsessing over that shit. Like, that's his jam.
But I do feel I've always interpreted it as that probably on his deathbed he was like actually in the act of doing it and died before he finished. Because I don't see Dunk just making this big lie up, but I could see him saying, well, that's a gray area because he was actively doing it. And just because he drew his last
You got,
breath
like,
before he said all
Dunk's like
those
grabbing the
words.
sword and putting it on his shoulder. Like,
Yeah, that's how
just
I
finish real
always
quick.
read it. And I even am seeing that in the show a little bit. It did give me a nervous moment where I thought, oh, they're answering that. And then he's like, oh, pregnant pause. I'm
I'll be
back.
curious to see what other people think about that scene, because, like I said, I was like, oh wait, it's a memory, or well, it actually seems like it might not be. Like there were elements of a memory and elements of like kind of like a fever dream, unreliable, narration sort of thing. So I don't know.
I just think that I disagree from a show perspective. Not to say that like in the books it's different, but like the show just presented Arlen as completely wasted, doesn't know what day it is, probably has memory issues, is wandering around kind of in this stage of life, and maybe he probably did. Obviously, he won some things here and there, but like I don't think he was of the right mind, at least per the show. He was. I mean, they also kind of just used him as comic relief. There's some give there, but like, I
But like
don't.
again, until this episode, the only thing he'd said was "get up."
Yeah,
I mean, you know, and
Uh,
then when he was drunk and saving Dunk, he said like "leave the boy alone" or something. But
yeah.
like there was never a conversation with him, and all we saw was him, hitting egg and fucking people, and them training a little bit, and like
yeah, but
that's about it.
do we even think that he was a knight?
Starlin,
Yeah, like who knighted him?
um,
Shit.
I thought about that watching this because they're talking about the penny tree thing and all that. I don't know. I mean,
Isn't it one of the Danes?
he's in the book. I think it says something about who knighted him, but he entered many tournaments and served many lords, and he was known as a knight. Um, you know,
But then why
but
was he
again,
in
this is why
flea
like
bottom?
knights tend to get knighted kind of publicly. Since it's not like the king or somebody has to do it, like in some other countries, right? In
Right.
Westeros, it's like, well, anyone can do it. So if you're gonna do it, you want to make sure that person is believed and is like you're adding your sword to them, right? So you want to give them legitimacy of a crowd, or at least of like reliable witnesses. It's not the best thing to do it like in private. Um,
I guess it just kind of goes back to like the all men are knights and all men are fools type thing. Like, yeah,
yeah,
sure, you're a knight.
everyone's a knight, honey. Whatever you say.
Manfred
So,
Dondarrion? Does that sound right?
Well, he rode for him, but that would have been once he was already a knight, I believe.
was that
But
the one, or was
well,
that the son that
No,
told him to fuck off?
that's the battle he won his spurs in. But I don't think we know who knighted him. It was just under Dondarrion.
It was while he was there. Yeah.
Okay. I do want to say, in
No.
terms of like the Dunk honesty thing, he can be a little cagey. Like, I don't want to. He can. So my best example of that is he defended Tansel too tall. I think primarily because he had the hots for her. Like, that's why he flew into a rage and defended her that way. But he was fully ready to run with the narrative that he was protecting the innocent. And like, yeah, I guess technically he was, but like he
It could be
understood,
both.
in a court of law, like I was protecting the innocent sounds a lot better than like had a crush on this girl. So like, I think there's a sense that he understands kind of how to massage the truth at least, and how to be cagey and present things in a way that you need to get what you need.
Well, it wouldn't that just be part of the like being a knight, knowing how to speak to people, knowing how to enact
Yeah,
certain things.
I get that. I guess what I'm saying is I think it shows a skill of Dunk that we maybe underestimate. Like, he understands he needs to play up that he's protecting the innocent
Like
with those
he's
charges.
slicker. He's slicker
Yeah.
than
Well,
all of us
Are
are
you
realizing.
saying? Are you saying that he's not a lunk?
I don't think he's as lunky as folks think.
I think you're giving too much credit in like his deviousness. I mean, you might be right, but I think it's less of he's like, oh yeah, like I gotta play this up, and more like people have a a large capacity for self-deception, and maybe he doesn't even realize his motives. You know what I
I think
mean?
the show's making it clear that he saves that girl not because he has the hots for her, but because reminds him of his little friend that died in Flea Bottom.
Yeah, but I mean that's
Uh,
still.
uh,
I mean, he still flies into a rage that is romantically induced, like more than it is.
which would have made a lot more sense if Arian was trying to like violate her. But
Yeah,
In the books, Arian is violating Tancel, so I would I would tend to disagree with you, Kev, book dunk wise, and then the show maybe a little column A, a little column B.
speaking of column B, what did you think of the Beesbury funeral?
Great transition.
Yeah,
I like
transition.
it. I think there's like weird death practices through history, and I kind of like that one. And they're all just
This
kind of it's normal.
this implies though that beesberries travel with like colonies of bees.
Queen. Yeah.
I wouldn't say. I absolutely believe that. Like in
Now, I guess
Martinverse,
if it's a tournament,
absolutely
they're
believe
selling
that.
honey. Is it right? Would that make
I
sense?
have to
Well,
be I have to be honest here. I did not put that all together until just now.
I mean, because like they like it has this really weird like coffin covered in bees, and I also love we get another like Raymond Fossaway's Cletus moment where he's like, "Oh, is it like bee magic?" And they're like, they just put the queen in there, and they're trying to get to the queen, and he's like, "Oh, that is magic." But I mean, it is interesting in this tent. You got, I'm sure that was like CG or something, but you have this just like coffin covered in bees, and I'm like, they must have had the bees at hand.
I
And
fully
I
believe
guess at
it
a
though.
tournament, yeah, it makes
oh
sense
yeah,
because they're gonna sell honey.
it absolutely does. Because like, I mean, if uh the shit, hold on, what are the names? Edit all this out. The Tullys, that's their names. If the Tullys have like that kind of a funeral, like I absolutely see Beesbury's having this kind of a
They're
funeral.
just throwing fish
That's what I
everywhere.
mean. Like the way these people identify so much with their sigils,
Right.
they're rocking a queen hither and thither, you know?
Wasn't there a Lannister that had like a lion at one point that they'd like take around like like they tried to bring into battle and shit? Yeah, anyway, anyway, so after the bee magic, Darren shows up and Dunk is pissed. He's like, "How dare you show your face here?" Which like the dude died for you, so some people might say, "How dare you show your face?" But it's all complicated. He's trying to show his respects. Um, and then he asks him to reconsider about taking Egg as his squire, and he explains like that. Arian was actually a happy kid, and he wasn't always like that. So sort of implying like, hey, maybe a different influence, could save my brother. Which Egg's a good kid, so like, what does he need saving for? And the very next scene, we get Egg sneaking a knife into Arian's room, seeming like he's going to kill him. And then I want to say he's confronted by Maekar, but he's more comforted by his father, who kind of comes over and is like, no, and like just sort of like hugs
Confronted.
him and he cries. And I thought again they did a really good job of showing like Maekar is kind of a good guy. And he's a loving father. He may not be a great father, but he's a loving father. He was a loving brother. He's wrecked by this, and he wants to figure out how it's not going to wreck his family. And I also liked that Ashford's daughter shows up again, because she got a little scene earlier in the season, and is like, "Hey, I forgive you for ruining my name day." um,
Yeah, that
Yeah,
poor
that was
girl.
cute. I liked that. That
that
was
was
We gotta
cute.
cute.
give her something.
Yeah, and then
Um,
Dunk gives his speech about how he'll take Egg, but basically on his terms. And Makar's like, no, because he says Egg is his last son, which I thought was I thought was really poignant.
Loved this whole interaction. Like, I loved it. Really felt like Makar was maybe seeing Egg for the first time, like, and seeing the things he'd been through and the just the person that he was and becoming, and just evaluating what type of father he wanted to be. I liked that. It really added some layers to this sort of kind of 2D character we've had to this point with Makar. I do also think Dunk is perfectly correct to chastise Darren. Like, Darren entirely made up a claim about Dunk kidnapping Egg, and that poured gasoline on the fire of that entire situation, because it took the trial from being about a couple of limbs to being about Dunk's life. So
I don't know that it actually changes anything, but he does use it to justify why he thinks they should have a trial of 7.
Yeah, but it does, though, because that accusation is punishable by death. Kidnapping a prince is punishable by death, whereas what he did to Arian is just a couple limbs.
Well, but later on, he says, well, if I had just, I would have lost an arm and a leg. Was that worth it, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I think the implication's like kind of clear in this story that Darren's accusation raises the stakes for why Dunk has to.
And Darren is cowardly enough that he doesn't recant after all this is blown up. He doesn't go out, hey, actually, I just was kind of being a shit. He could just say that and take his punishment. But he's like, well, we'll just settle this on the field and pretend I didn't say anything.
I think Dunk has plenty of reason to be mad at him. Like, I think,
I agree.
Yeah. Anyways, that's my 2 cents. I actually have to go to bed. I gotta be a nurse in the morning. So
love you, Kev. Can I ask, do you think that Egg, like, seeing his little hairs growing back is just that alone why he goes into Aaron's room, or is he preparing to scalp this motherfucker?
Oh no, I think he's gonna kill his brother. And
I thought he was gonna murder him.
I think that is the implication. I don't know if he goes through with it, but I think he has come to the thought that he was going to be Dunk's squire. Dunk could protect him at the very least. He could have kind of a different existence with Dunk around, and Dunk doesn't want anything to do with his family. He's going to go back to Summerhall and be tormented by his brother, and he just can't do it. And so he's come to the conclusion that, like, he needs to do something that he probably doesn't want to do.
I believe that he was going to kill him too, but it's just because they cut from the hair to that, like, it made me think, was he going to scalp him?
No, I think the hair, I mean, obviously the hair growing back is meant to show us, like, the Targaryen hair, and, like, it's reminding him of before. It's like the hair coming back, he needs to shave it off again. It's reminding him of what he doesn't want to go back to.
And then my follow-up question is, do you think, because Makar just sits there silently for quite a while and lets Egg get like closer and closer to the bed with the knife in his hand, do you think that he was like pondering, if my one son is willing to commit fratricide, because like is there a reason, and should I consider that, and should I like maybe let him do it?
Well, I don't know about let him do it, but I think he's shocked in this moment. Again, his family is fractured and he's devastated, and then he sees his good son doing this.
Right.
And I do love that he, like I said, he kind of like confronts him. He goes to stop him, but he doesn't really like forcefully stop him, or he just kind of steps out, and like you can see Egg
like
is breaking
helps him
down,
make the choice not
and then
to.
and then he puts his arms on him and comforts him like as a father. And
I kind of wish
I
they
thought
had
that was really
edited this
powerful.
backwards a little bit, where I wish that we, at least as the audience, I mean, book readers would know, but like the Unsullied maybe would have the benefit of not knowing that Maekar had already planned to pack him off to Lys. I kind of wish that decision like came on the heels of this scene. I think it would have done a lot more for his character depth to allow him to make that decision. Like, oh, he's fucked up,
Well, I
and I
think, I mean,
gotta get rid of him.
he'd already done enough, so I'm glad he came to that realization before this. Um, he was defending his son sort of begrudgingly, but like trying to be a good father. I think this is like sort of like just him taking place in the trial and all of this, like sort of underscores why, Arian's turning out like he is, right? And he's coming to his defense. I'm going to fight on his side. And I think afterwards he realizes, like, I probably shouldn't have been fighting on his side. I probably shouldn't have been supporting him in any way in this, because he was a little shit and he was wrong. But he's trying to figure out, like, yeah, like I've, as a protective father, like you just want your kids to be okay, right? Even if he is a little shit, he doesn't want him to like go 1v1 on Dunk and get killed or something. So
Yeah, and it is hard to accept that your child is a monster.
yeah, and the consequences of all this have just been, they're just so extreme.
Yeah, it's true. Either way, I agree with Kevin. It was like very beautifully done, and I do like how the show can be really silly, but then you do have these really poignant, serious moments laced through it.
And just like I said, the really good casting, like pretty much all around this season. And I think the humor was built in well. Overall the story was, we get this kind of like joyful beginning story almost here at the end where, I mean, that's, in a second here, but it's a good start to like, these two adventuring the kingdom. And then like I said, at the we get the like, you know, fade to black, and then oh yeah, by the way, Makar's like, where the fuck did Egg go? And you're like, oh shit.
And
um,
like they're very already on the road. It's Home Alone. Um, I do like the actor.
Kevin,
His
hang
veneers
on.
like take me out of it a little bit, but I do like the actor.
Yeah, I saw that where he's like looking around. I'm like, oh no, is that what they're doing? But because like I don't know, they just set it up so well. So like Raymond shows up with Sweetfoot, and like he got her back for him basically, and then Dunk's like, no, actually, like maybe she'd be happier at your orchard, and he like sort of is like, oh, are you sure? He's like, but actually, I really kind of like the horse, um, and so that's kind of a sweet moment where he like passes the horse on, and then he hammers the tree, hammers the penny into the tree, like he's moving on, and then Egg shows up and is like, hey, I'm supposed to squire for you. And then they have the whole bit about like the seven kingdoms, it's nine kingdoms, and hey, let's go to Dorne. There's good puppet shows, and Sir Ireland's like spirit animal is, he's there in spirit with Sweetfoot, and then he kind of goes on his own way, and I'm like, oh man, this is just kind of like a really beautiful, like we're
Yeah.
off to be adventuring, and then oops.
Okay. So this is why I think there's more proof that Sir Arlen did Night Dunk, because I feel like someone who tells a big lie like that would be better on the lookout for big lies and would have like fact checked a little more.
But Dunk
Like
is
you
not
can't
a
bullshit a
liar.
bullshitter.
Like he's not that guy. To be able to tell one lie or to say I have to do this thing to survive, or like he makes a decision like I'm going to go, and like maybe in his head he's like, well, if I enter and I do well in this tournament, like I'll have earned a knighthood anyway, like I'm worthy. Like maybe that's sort of his rationalization, and then it all works out like it does. But he's not a guy who is going to like start going around, lying and just to get, just to like make his way. Like he's trying to figure out, you know, I don't
I
know.
don't know. I
He's
just
trying to
still
follow.
argue that
He's trying to
there has to
follow
be
the hedge knight.
a lot
Um,
of truth in it. I don't see him completely fabricating it.
no, I mean, like I could. It could go either way. I think the people tend to lean towards like he didn't, and the way the show is heavily implying that he didn't knight him. Again, that doesn't mean he's not deserving. Like when the games master talks to him and he says, hey, pick this guy to challenge, and he's like, he's gonna take a fall, and you're gonna have a good start. You're gonna get some arms and armor. Like you're gonna be doing well. And he's like, well, I don't want to I don't want anything I didn't earn, basically. And he's like, haven't you earned it? Like you didn't earn it? You know what I mean? Like you're a good guy. Like maybe good things should be coming your way. I think is sort of the implication there. So there might be a bit of that in him. And it's it's one lie. It's a big lie, but it's one of those things like no one's around. I should be a knight. I follow the codes of the knight. I was taught to be a knight.
I will
I don't know.
say, I guess to counter my own point, maybe he is a lunk and doesn't realize like kid shows up out of the bushes with no escort, and that wasn't a
Look,
red
he
flag to be
definitely
like,
is.
I should double check.
Yeah, he definitely is a lunk, and like Egg has clowned him the whole season a little bit. Egg is a very smart kid, and he's already been through the lie. He already, Egg hid who he was, and all this has come out, and they have a pretty close relationship at this point. They've developed some trust. The lie is out, probably in his mind. So why would you be suspicious? It would make a lot more sense if Makar showed up and was like, here's some silver to get you on the way. Hey, come by Summer Hall
Yeah,
whenever you
a
can.
household knight,
Like,
someone escorting them, just
I mean, like,
not out of the shadows.
yeah, I would understand like some sort of entourage to bring him there or whatever. Just him being by himself is kind of suspicious.
Here's all his
Um,
clothes.
Yeah, but like if like I mean I think Zach mentioned this is like, well, is this a departure from the book, or is this maybe actually what will be revealed in the book? And I'm like, well, he does run into like royal people. He runs into Bloodraven, and like they run into people. He sees his brother Aemon at the Citadel, right? Off screen. That's how they get the donkey, Maester.
Yeah.
So you would think at some point in the story, if like his dad was looking for him, like like wouldn't Eamon have been like, "Hey, you're with this hedge knight, dude? Wow, they've been looking for you." So it doesn't seem true to the book to me, and it seems to add some complications. So my worry about the twist is not so much that it's bad, because that could be a good way to run this story, except like we're running straight to the hedge knight, right? You'd have to significantly change that story around if you're going to write this into the hedge knight. So like what's going to happen? Like are
You
we
mean a mystery night?
huh? Or not the
You
hedge
mean
knight, I'm sorry, the sworn sword. That's
Oh,
what I'm
okay.
thinking. Yeah, I'm just saying
Yeah.
words that are obviously not correct. Thick as a castle
Okay,
wall I
plate.
am. But it is. But that's what I don't really understand is it sort of necessitates like it's the stinger to the end of your season 1, and what you're not going to address it till season 4 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
If it feels like you have to put this in next season or something, like are they wanting to try to find a way to bring the Targaryens back around next season? Like I don't know, like is this going to be a big
Really
departure?
wish
I'm
Michael
curious.
were here right now. I feel like I feel him screaming wherever he is. He's losing it.
Probably.
Um,
Um,
when you mentioned Maester, it reminded me of that Maester in the very beginning. His chain is super long and ornamented, and he doesn't know when a person's dying or not. I absolutely found that to be so rich.
I loved it because I was like, yeah, if I were just a regular person, I would err on the side of caution too.
He's got all those like all that glitter on his chain.
Whose maester was that? Was that Lionel's maester?
It
Like,
has to be Lionel's, right?
right? Like, he's like, this guy sucks. I'm like, why? Why do you keep him around? Like, can you like replace a maester? Be like, yeah, this guy's not any good anymore. Send me a new one.
I'm such a good indict of the Citadel and their bullshit.
I gotta be honest. The maester chains seem like they're better in this show than they were in like Game of Thrones.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
they just look.
Bit
I
more
don't know.
subtle.
They're like thicker or something, or they. I don't know. The ones in Game of Thrones seemed a little more chintzy and less
They look
colorful.
way more like they're described in the book.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
one dude, the maester, when they're like setting up the trial and like Arian, like what is he like? He like opens a walnut or whatever he does and it falls on the ground. He has to like pick it up, you know.
Yeah.
And his chains like hitting the floor. And I'm like the chains look pretty good, man. But
Yeah,
like
they do.
Grandmaster Pycelle's chain always looked kind of broke ass.
I would love to find out that they did some high meta thing where all the different links in that Maester's chain, none of them have anything to do with healing. It's all like history and science and like pyromance and stuff.
Oh,
So it's
that would
like
be
the person
great
doesn't
if
know if
yeah, it's like
homeboy's dead or alive.
he has 10 chains for studying the deeper mysteries.
Right?
You see those Valerian chains?
I
Yeah,
really
that'd be
want like a full season of Aemon in the Citadel and what he does.
Right? Like
Mhm.
there's just many good like webisodes that are ripe for the making.
They did that with like Heroes and stuff. They had the cartoon thing online that people could like do for extra stuff. Like,
Yeah, there was a time like in the like late 2000s and like 2010s where it was really popular to have like little 5-10 minute
yeah,
webisodes or like web
Yeah.
content that
I
was
miss
like
that.
not it was like sort of like the extras on a
Yeah.
DVD almost.
Yeah.
You know what I would love? And like this is like I don't know why they can't fucking do this. They've made a couple of Game of Thrones games that aren't like great, but like I would love a Game of Thrones like open world game where you can like go to fucking Old Town and you can do fucking shit at the Citadel and you can like this world is like mapped out for you.
You've never heard of Game of Thrones Conquest, the show that they advertise every time you turn on a Game of
They
Thrones?
have these mobile games
My
that I
God.
mean, look, I get advertised twice every time I watch the show, and I'm sure it's something where you have to pay. It's like Farmville or some shit. Like I want like an
Yeah.
RPG where like I can roam the entire Seven Kingdoms. I can go to all the
Yeah.
major fucking places, like it's Red Dead
You want
Redemption.
Bethesda to make it, which it's called
Well,
you
Skyrim,
want you
bro.
want Zelda, but like
like
It's called
Bethesda from
Skyrim
like
Elder
10 years ago,
Scrolls.
maybe. But well, I just don't understand why like this is such a huge IP and like
No.
the characters and the houses, like everything is already sort of written for you. You just pick like an area of time that's not really important necessarily to the books or whatever, and like you go there and you can go far enough back where there's like still fucking dragons and shit.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be
I
that
would
game would make
love
$1 billion.
something like that, where you like meet Loras Longstrider, like World Book style, like Oregon Trail, but it's the King's Road or the Valerian Road. It would be great.
It's no Kingdom Come, right, Xander?
Oh, it's late, isn't it?
All right, let's wrap it up, guys. Do you have anything else you want to say on this episode?
I'll say it on Tuesday.
I really just want there to only be 1 year between seasons because it's I don't want to make a big deal about Egg getting old, but like
Yeah.
if he's gonna
They're so
age up like
short. I don't
5
think
years,
like
I'm gonna be pissed.
they should do 2 seasons a year. The episodes are so short. It's like, why not?
Well, these were
Well, so-
already shot.
Like
Like
10
he was
yeah.
9 when these were shot, and he's like
Yeah, like
11
Right.
it's
now.
already been like
And
2 or
well,
3 years.
as far as I know, they're either in production or nearing post production. I would
Yeah,
assume.
last
Okay,
I had
good.
saw, I thought they were shooting season 2 already. I could be wrong, but I do think like it would make sense for them to do 2 and 3 back to back, and then after
Yeah.
that, whatever the fourth thing's going to be,
Well, then we
if
don't care as
George
much.
can't, well, if George can't get it out, I don't
Yeah.
know. You could do filler, or you can have a time jump where like, oh yeah, Egg's a little older now.
Yeah, but I feel like HBO Max is in such like a tank, like, or such a deficit right now that they're probably not gonna like greenlight 2
I
seasons
mean,
at once.
HBO is like, at least they changed the name back, but like HBO is still looking for that, prestige television. They're like that. But, when it's like, I don't know, it's like they're getting bought out or they're going to buy Warner Brothers and someone's going to buy them. Then, Discovery buys them and they sell, like, there's just all of this behind the scenes business stuff that, yeah, is,
And eventually it'll be like Idiocracy where ExxonMobil Taco Bell owns it all.
thanks everybody for joining us and thanks for listening. I appreciate that. And, follow us on, I think we still have like Twitter or whatever the fuck it's called nowadays. But we're mostly on the Discord, and leave us a comment on the YouTube. Post your lemon cakes, and there will be, I believe, at least a wolf cast this week as well, talking about this episode and about the season possibly. So look forward to that and other stuff to come this year, including House of the Dragon, coming up in a couple months. So, all right, thanks everybody.
Thank you, Adam.
Thanks, Adam.
Oh, I had the most sworn sword shit happen to me as I was driving to my friend's house to watch this. I got off the interstate, Adam, onto Murfreesboro Pike, and there was a man laying in the bike lane, all of like maybe 4 inches from like where he would be in the road on this major thoroughfare in Nashville. And motherfucker fired a gun. Like
Holy fuck.
fired a gun into the rock wall, like away from the road where the rock had
What?
been cut. Yeah, so like at my friend's
What?
house, the entire night we're hearing like so many sirens.
Was he mad at the
Yeah,
wall?
yeah. So it's like a rock wall, where like they cut out of a hill to make a road, and he was
No,
just
yeah, yeah,
firing
yeah.
his gun at it. But he literally fired his gun as I passed him on the road, and I was like, "Do I want to call the cops?" And then I was like, "No, I don't want to call the cops." No, to be clear, he was lying down in the bike lane, like
Like prone or like on his back like a turtle?
supine, yeah, on his back.
That's good.
That's
Oh
good.
my.
weird as fuck.
It felt very like Sworn Sword Mystery Night. Like I was like, I need my squire next to me to be like, what the fuck's that?
Sometimes I
Dog,
think you
yeah,
guys are in
shit's
a
messed up out
completely
there.
different country in Tennessee. But excuse me, guys, it is the night of the Nine Kingdoms.
Oh yeah. The certified nerd.
The ultimate shocking lack of knowledge.
Look, okay. Like Aegon clearly is a kid who's like, I know things, I'm smart. But like
I mean,
he
I don't
doesn't
know about him. What's going
understand,
on here?
okay, that like the
I'm home,
Riverlands
by
were
the way,
technically
whenever we
never a
want to.
kingdom because they were always being conquered, and the Iron
Uh-huh.
Islands don't count, all right? Like
Like,
They never
Islands
the
caught
never
the
hog
count.
head.
corn.
They
She's
never
like that little
count.
punk.
fuck them. Or you just don't count Dorne if you're racist. Whatever you want to do.
Well, isn't it the real thing is that it's the Crown Lands are not a kingdom, and
That's what I was gonna say. You
Dorne was
don't count the
never
Crown
crowned,
Lands.
The
correct?
crown lands are like a property.
Yeah,
Like
you don't count the Crown Lands.
there's
It's
a
like
better term
BC.
for it. Yeah. It's
Yeah. Well, because it's
I
the
don't
seat
there's a
of
term.
the consolidation of all that power. But it's not a kingdom. It rules over all those kingdoms. So it's like its own. It's like the District of Columbia. It's not a
Yeah,
state.
the crown lands don't count, and then like the riverlands were never like they weren't one of the kingdoms. It's the seven kingdoms when Aegon arrives, right?
Right.
That's what it is. And so like you have like the North, the Iron Islands, the Vale, the Westerlands, the
And Dorne
Reach.
doesn't count.
Here we go.
Like,
I got
So
you.
nobody lived in the
Dorne
crown
does
lands.
count, I think, at that point. But like also it's like they never really conquered Dorne, so
I'm sorry, I keep on getting us off on tangents.
Like this. The Seven Kingdoms of Westeros is traditional name for the realm, which actually comprises 9 distinct regions that were once 7 independent kingdoms prior to Aegon's
Yeah.
conquest.
Yeah. So see, that little
that
fucker
kinda-
doesn't know what
that-
he's talking
that-
about.
Well, that kind of succinctly puts it. You know.
and then you got Robert making the 8, you know.
Yeah.
I want a Lionel show.
Me too.
I would love a Lionel, a late night Lionel show.
Yeah, we need like Lionel, laughing Lord Lionel's laughing.
Baratheon after dark.
Podcast.
Do you guys feel that like Lionel Baratheon just doesn't show up during the day unless he has to?
Yeah.
Like at Storm's End, he's just like a night owl, and then like, oh, there's like lordly shit to do. He's like, okay, I guess I'll get up at noon tomorrow. You know.
If sunglasses existed, he'd be wearing them at night and during the day.
Oh, absolutely. No,
Scout.
all of his staff has to adjust to his schedule kind of
Yeah.
shit.
He loves to party.
He's here for the vibes only.
Yes, he is.
He is the vibes.
True.
True. He's like,
what did he
the
say in the
party
one
starts
episode?
when I arrive.
Well, right. Well, in the one episode, he's like, I had a profound thought. If anybody cares to listen.
Oh, I forgot.
My favorite is the tug of war where he's like, we're doing great, and he's like, all right, hold on. They're like, what the fuck? He's like, I'm thirsty. He's just sitting there like,
Yeah.
I'll be back. And he's just sitting there like downing some ale or whatever it is. And he's like, I'm thirsty, obviously. And then he goes back to the front where Egg is and is like, all right, pull, you idiots. Like no, they've been pulling, man. They've been pulling so hard.
After he slaps Dunk's ass.
Yes.
Gotta put that out there.
Yes.
That's right. That's the anchor. But I will tell you, okay, Lionel Baratheon would not have fallen for that Fossaway lady, okay? When Lionel Baratheon gets a woman pregnant, he knows.
It's his baby.
He knows at the moment of completion. Yep, pregnant.
Like, you don't be a menace to South Central.
If a lady comes to him like a week later and says that she got pregnant, he's like, yeah, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, I know exactly what website you're talking about too.
I literally I know what that is.
Thank you.
I mean, I think you're in the right audience where more people would know about Dragon Dicks than the rest of the world.
Right.
We don't know about the entire fantasy porn industry. Now something that you all need to look up tomorrow.
Yeah, there's dragon dicks, there's octopus dicks,
Unicorns.
there's beast dicks. Yeah, there's like a bunch of weird shit, you know. But they're good toys, apparently. I don't know.
You know, I know Stargate's coming back. I don't know what that's going to look like, but you know, I used to love
I'm not
that
as
show.
heavily invested in
Wait,
Stargate
really?
as I am DSG.
Oh my gosh, I love Stargate.
It's so funny because Greg convinced me to watch like the movie for the first time last night. So
The original movie,
yeah,
like with Kurt Russell,
It's good.
Yes.
I mean,
very good, very good.
Yeah,
The
we watched
show,
Stargate.
the
We
show
watched
sort of
more.
picks up from there. But like the show was so good. It was like such a great
It was really
sci-fi show. It's probably a little dated now. You look at some of the early episodes with like the computers and like the high tech they have is not as
It
is a
wasn't
little
too
rough.
bad,
But,
honestly, but yeah.
No, it's not. Wasn't it? It was like Quantum Leap, and then Stargate would come on.
Stargate was like the late '90s. Like Quantum Leap was sort of already petered out
No,
at that
well,
point.
the movie came out in '94.
What am I
Yeah,
thinking of?
and then the
Then?
show was like
Sliders?
'97 or something. Sliders, I remember Sliders. You're thinking about that, but yeah, when the Stargate show came out, it was on Showtime, I want to say. So like originally, you couldn't see it unless you had like premium television, and there was like nudity and stuff in the first. It was like this whole thing at first, and they quickly sort of went away from that, and then they started syndicating, and that's when it got really popular. Because like no one could watch the fucking show the first like 2 or 3 years. No one had, Showtime or whatever it was on. So
They were trying to
but
make it a flagship.
yeah, it was like one of those things. Like a lot of those networks didn't have a lot of original content at that time, and that was sort of the thing that they did. But yeah, the show Stargate's very good.
It is
So
very good. I think
one of my favorite shows.
to me, Stargate and Star Trek have kind of the same problem where it becomes so formulaic and procedural. I like BSG because at least the reboot one, not
Yeah, because Stargate, like Star Trek, is more of like we're telling a story, we have a narrative, and it's like there's a life lesson, and that's good. And like you don't do that as much these days.
it's
But
a
you also
formula.
want to have a show that like like Battlestar Galactica was ongoing and had a lot going on.
Well, and it
Um,
twisted and turned in ways like nothing about it was like like Fringe was really good, but save that last season, it was still a forensic procedural show.
right, and it
So every
changed quite a
episode ends
bit.
up a little the same.
But I guess Stargate over the years changed too. I mean, they went to another galaxy
That's
and they
true.
got
Yeah.
spaceships and there's all that stuff. But this one's supposed to be, I think, kind of a continuation of some kind. Like it's not a reboot, so I don't know. They
The way
haven't.
like
There are
BSG
no
was to the
details,
original.
huh?
It works. That is a formula that works. Well, because like Battlestar
Yeah.
Galactica, the 2000s one is not a reboot. It's a
But
continuing.
it's also one of the writers and the showrunners from SG1 is like working on it. So it's not someone who's like, we're just gonna do our own thing. So
Yeah, that's usually a good.
And I hope that the House of the Dragon's on at 9 o'clock and not 10, because I'm
Oh God, yeah.
I'm a tired lady.
it is kind of late. I'm happy
Did you guys
because
see the
I'm off
trailer?
Mondays, so it helps. But
I
Yeah.
have my first ever snow day as a essential worker, which is hilarious because we really aren't essential, but that's what New York says.
Did you guys see the trailer for season 3?
I have
I saw
not.
something like a teaser.
It looks like we're gonna see Rhaenyra burn this year.
In season 3?
Too soon.
I don't
guess
know. There's
they
a
did
shot
say
at the
that
end of the
season
trailer, and
4
it sure looks like she's standing in the Iron Throne room about to get it.
Well, she wouldn't burn on the Iron Throne, but
No, she's in the throne room.
no,
That's
I
where
know,
that
but
happens.
no, that happens on Dragonstone.
I thought it was in the throne room.
I'm pretty sure it's in the throne room of the Iron Throne.
No, she
At
flees.
least that's
She flees
how
to
it's illustrated
Zander
in the
would
Dragonstone,
book.
know.
and Aegon's waiting there, right?
Mm,
I don't know. They did say season 4 was going to be the final season. So, which makes sense.
We're almost at 2.5 hours, so I'm gonna
say
Say-
love
goodnight.
you.
I'm gonna say thank you guys for listening to Blackfire WXAV the Night. Please follow us on Vassals of Kingsgrave. You can find us on Discord, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Grinder, maybe.
Good lord.
We do still have the Grinder account.
If you
from
see Lionel
Jay's Night Out.
Baratheon on Grinder, it's us.
Yeah, it's definitely us, 100%.
Make sure to swipe up.
Get your dragon dicks ready put your listening ears on. It's time for
Yeah,
some
wouldn't you swipe
smooth
down on the
talk.
app because you're down? Wouldn't that be how that works?
No, oh my goodness, I'm out. I'm so tired. I love you guys, but this is too much.
Goodbye.
Good night.
Oh boy.